You've been losing, and you don't even know it. Every time you raised your voice, you lost. Every time you explained yourself to someone who didn't even deserve an answer, you gave away your power. Every time you reacted to disrespect, to someone pushing your buttons, to someone testing you, you handed them exactly what they wanted: control over you. Machiavelli figured something out 5 centuries ago that most guys still haven't learned today. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest one. It's the one who doesn't even need to speak. Today, I'm going to give you 10 ruthless psychology tricks from Machiavellianism, dark psychology, and the cold laws of power that will make you untouchable. Not just in theory, in your real life, starting right now. Stop reacting, stop explaining, start ignoring, and watch how fast the world starts reorganizing itself around your silence. Trick number 1, stop reacting. The power of the pause. The moment you react, you expose yourself. Understand that deeply. Every flinch, every snap, every emotional explosion is basically a message sent straight to your enemy, telling them exactly where it hurts. And Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. He wrote that men are so simple and so quick to follow what's in front of them that whoever wants to trick someone will always find someone willing to be tricked. But here's the darker truth. The person who reacts the fastest is the easiest one to trick of all, because a reactive person is a predictable person, and a predictable person is a controlled person. When someone insults you and you fire back instantly, you think you're standing up for yourself. You're not. You're performing for them. You're dancing on their stage, to their music, on their timing. You handed them the remote control and didn't even notice. The powerful move, the Machiavellian move, is the pause. Not silence out of fear, silence out of strategy. When someone throws words at you trying to set you off and you just look at them, breathe, and say nothing, something shifts in the room. Suddenly, they don't know where they stand. Suddenly, they're the ones scrambling because your silence becomes a mirror, and most people can't stand what they see in it. This is not about being passive. Being passive is what defeated people do. This is about being deliberate. There's a massive difference between someone who doesn't respond because they're scared and someone who doesn't respond because they simply don't need to. The first one is prey. The second one is a predator choosing when to move. Train yourself starting today to delay every reaction by just 5 seconds. Just 5. In those 5 seconds, you will find something most people never find in their whole lives. You'll find the exit door out of someone else's emotional trap. And once you stop walking into traps, you start building your own. Trick number 2, stop explaining. Explanations are confessions of weakness. Let me tell you something that's going to sting before it sets you free. Every time you over-explain yourself, you're subconsciously telling the other person that their opinion of you matters more than your own opinion of yourself. Read that again. You're not clarifying, you're kneeling. Machiavelli wrote that it's much safer to be feared than loved if you have to choose one. But what he also understood, buried underneath that famous line, is that the person who constantly justifies himself is neither feared nor loved. He's just ignored. Think about the most powerful people you've ever met in your life. Did they chase you down explaining their decisions? Did they send long messages defending why they did what they did? No. They decided, they moved, and the world adjusted. That's what real authority looks like. Now think about the people who exhausted you with their explanations. The ones who couldn't let a single misunderstanding sit without writing a whole essay about it. How did you see them? Weak, insecure, desperate for your approval. That's how psychology works, and it's brutal. The more you explain, the smaller you become in the eyes of the person listening. Not because your logic is wrong, but because the act of explaining itself shows that you need their validation to feel okay. And the moment someone realizes you need their approval, they own you. Dark psychology teaches us that perception is the only battlefield that matters. It doesn't matter if you're right. It matters if you look like you need to prove you're right. Those are two completely different positions. One stands on a mountain. The other is digging in the dirt looking for acceptance. From today, practice this. Make your decision. Say it once if you have to, and let the silence handle the rest. No extra context. No defensive follow-up. No chasing understanding. Kings don't explain. They act, and history writes the explanation for them. Trick number 3. Start ignoring. The art of strategic indifference. Here's the most disrespectful thing you can do to someone who's trying to control you. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No response, no eye contact, no sign that they even exist in your world. And that's exactly what makes it the most powerful thing you'll ever learn. Machiavelli understood that people are driven by 2 things, fear and desire. But there's a third force he quietly used throughout all his work that most people miss, indifference. Because while fear controls the body and desire controls the mind, indifference destroys the ego. And a person with a destroyed ego will unravel themselves without you ever doing a single thing. Think about it. When someone provokes you and you argue back, they feel important. When someone disrespects you and you get angry, they feel powerful. But when someone comes at you with everything they've got and you just keep living like they're invisible, something inside them breaks. They start questioning themselves. They start spiraling. Not because of what you did, but because of what you refused to do. That's dark psychology at its finest. You didn't attack them. You just removed them from your reality. And for a human being, there is no deeper wound than being made to feel irrelevant. Strategic indifference is not about being cold just to be cold. It's about understanding that your attention is the most valuable thing you have. Every second you spend focused on someone who doesn't deserve it is a second stolen from your growth, your goals, your future. Machiavelli would tell you that a wise man never sits idle in times of peace, but uses that time to prepare for harder days. Your peace is your power. Guard it with ruthless indifference. Don't fight people who are below your mission. Just forget them. Loudly, publicly, permanently. Trick number 4. Control the frame. Control the game. Every conversation you've ever had, every argument, every negotiation, every silent standoff, all of it was a battle over one thing: the frame. The frame is the invisible structure underneath every interaction. It decides who holds power, who's reacting, and who's leading. Machiavelli never used the word frame, but every strategy he ever wrote was built on this one idea: whoever controls the context controls the outcome. Let me show you how this works in real life. Someone walks up to you and says, "Why are you always so quiet? You think you're better than everyone?" Now, most people make the fatal mistake of answering the question. They step right into the other person's frame. They start defending themselves. They start explaining. And just like that, they've already lost. Because the moment you accept someone else's frame, you're playing their game on their field, with their rules. The Machiavellian move is to reject the frame completely. You don't answer their question, you replace it. You look at them and say, "That's an interesting thing to worry about." Now the frame has shifted. Now they're the one being looked at. Now they're the one off balance. This is the ruthless psychology of frame control, and it applies everywhere. In business, in relationships, in every power situation you face every day. The person who sets the frame is the person who holds the throne. Dark psychology teaches us that people don't respond to reality. They respond to the version of reality that's presented to them. If you carry yourself like someone who can't be questioned, people stop questioning you. If you carry yourself like someone whose time is valuable, people stop wasting it. Your frame is your kingdom. Never abandon it to step into someone else's chaos. Let them knock on your door. You decide if it opens. Trick number 5. Make them chase. Never pursue. The moment you start chasing, you start losing. Doesn't matter what you're chasing. A person, a deal, respect, validation. The act of chasing itself sends one devastating message to the world: that you don't already have it. And that perception will cost you everything. Machiavelli noticed that people by nature want what they can't easily get. That one line holds the blueprint to an entire psychological empire. Because if people want what pulls away from them, then your greatest weapon is not chasing, it's pulling back. Think about every time you chased someone's attention. You texted first, followed up, bent your schedule, softened your standards. And what happened? They pulled further away. Not because you weren't worth it, but because your energy told them you didn't believe you were. Now think about the opposite. Think about a time you pulled back. When you went completely silent, stopped showing up, stopped reaching out. What happened? They came looking for you. They suddenly had questions. They suddenly cared. That is not a coincidence. That is the law of psychological scarcity, and it's as unbreakable as gravity. Dark psychology teaches us that people don't value what's freely available. They value what feels rare, what feels limited, what feels like it might disappear. When you're always available, you become furniture. People walk past you without a second thought. But when you remove yourself strategically, quietly, without any announcement, you become a question they can't stop asking. Machiavelli would tell you that a leader who makes himself too easy to reach cheapens his own value. You must learn to be present enough to be remembered, but absent enough to be wanted. Stop chasing people. Stop chasing outcomes. Position yourself so well, so solidly, so undeniably, that the world has no choice but to come find you. And when it does, make it wait. Trick number 6, read the room before you rule it. Most people walk into a room and immediately start performing. They talk too fast, laugh too loud, try to impress everyone before they've studied anyone. And that desperation, that hunger to be noticed, is the very thing that makes them invisible. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. And the only way to control what people see is to first understand what they're looking for. That takes one skill most people are too impatient to build: observation. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one demanding attention. It's the one sitting quietly, watching every handshake, every glance, every shift in body language, filing it all away like a general mapping out the battlefield before the first shot is fired. That's the person who will own the room by the end of the night. Not because they fought for it, but because they understood it before anyone else even realized there was a competition. Dark psychology reveals a brutal truth about human nature. People expose themselves constantly. They tell you who they are through tiny expressions, through the jokes they laugh at, through who they look at when something funny happens, through how they treat people who can't do anything for them. All of this is information, and information is the currency of power. Machiavelli was not a fighter. He was a reader of people. That's what made him lethal. He didn't overpower his enemies with force. He took them apart with understanding. You need to develop that same discipline. Walk into every room like a student before you walk in like a king. Watch first, speak last. Let others reveal their insecurities, their loyalties, their weaknesses, and file it all away in silence. Because the person who reads the room never needs to fight for control of it. They just take it when the moment is right. Trick number 7, never show your full hand. The person who tells you everything about himself in the first conversation has already disarmed himself. He handed you the map to his mind, the keys to his insecurities, and the blueprint to his downfall, all wrapped up in what he thought was honesty. Machiavelli warned that a leader who becomes fully transparent is a leader who will be fully defeated. And that warning hits just as hard today as it did 500 years ago. Transparency gets sold to you as a good thing. Society tells you to be an open book. Share your feelings, show your plans, announce your next move. But ask yourself, who actually benefits when you become completely readable? Not you. The people who benefit are the ones watching you, studying your patterns, waiting for the perfect moment to use your openness against you. Dark psychology teaches us that mystery is the single most magnetic and protective force a person can have. When people can't fully figure you out, they give you more credit than you might even deserve. They fill in the blanks with their own fear, their own curiosity, their own respect. But the moment you overshare, the moment you lay every card on the table, that mystery dies, and with it, your leverage. This doesn't mean you become dishonest. Deception and discretion are not the same thing. A dishonest person lies about who they are. A discreet person simply never shows all of who they are. One is a fraud, the other is a fortress. Machiavelli operated in a world full of betrayal and shifting loyalties, where people smiled while sharpening knives behind your back. His rule for survival was simple. Let them see enough to trust you, but never enough to predict you. Carry that into your daily life. Share selectively. Reveal strategically. Let people know just enough to stay curious, but never enough to feel completely comfortable. Your mystery is your armor. Never take it off for someone who hasn't earned the right to see underneath. Trick number 8. Let them underestimate you, then strike. There is a weapon so quiet, so invisible, so devastatingly effective that most people will never even recognize it exists. And that weapon is being underestimated. Machiavelli understood that the person who appears weak while quietly building strength in the background holds the deadliest advantage in any power game. Because when people underestimate you, they stop watching you. They stop guarding themselves around you. They stop seeing you as a threat. And that is the exact moment you become their biggest one. Think about how the world works. The loud person gets all the attention. They walk into rooms announcing themselves. They tell everyone their plans, their goals, their ambitions. And what happens? Every competitor now knows exactly where to aim. Every enemy now knows exactly what to disrupt. They made themselves a target by demanding to be seen. Now think about the quiet person in the corner saying nothing. The one people laugh at. The one they overlook in meetings. The one they assume has no ambition because they don't wear it on their face like a sign. That person is not weak. That person is loading. Dark psychology teaches us that the most dangerous move is the one nobody sees coming. And nobody sees it coming from the person they already dismissed. This is not about playing small forever. This is about strategic patience. The Machiavellian art of letting the world assign you a role far below your actual ability, while you sharpen your skills in complete silence. Let them think you're ordinary. Let them think you're comfortable where you are. Let them think they've already figured you out. Because the moment they relax, the moment their guard drops all the way, you move. Not with noise, not with some big announcement, with results so undeniable that by the time they realize what happened, you're already 3 moves ahead, and the game is over. Machiavelli wrote that whoever wants to deceive will always find someone willing to be deceived. Let them deceive themselves about who you are. Their arrogance is your cover. Their dismissal is your invitation. Their comfort is your countdown. And when the clock hits 0, strike with everything you've been quietly building. No warning, no mercy, no second chance for them to prepare. Trick number 9, protect your energy like a throne. Let me tell you something nobody wants to admit. The biggest threat to your power is not your enemy. It's the people closest to you who drain you slowly, quietly, consistently, until one morning you wake up and realize you have nothing left. Not because someone defeated you, but because you let the wrong people have unlimited access to your energy. And energy, understand this clearly, is the throne. Not money, not status, not reputation. Energy. Because without it you can't think, you can't plan, you can't build, you can't make a single move in your own life. Machiavelli wrote a lot about the danger of flatterers and freeloaders, people who surround a leader not out of loyalty, but out of hunger. They feed on his attention, they eat up his time, They use the language of friendship while slowly draining him dry. And the leader, too proud or too blind to see it, lets it happen because cutting them off feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is the trap. Dark psychology exposes a truth most people will never accept. There are people in your life right now who do not want to see you win. They don't hate you openly. They don't sabotage you directly. They just keep you distracted. They pull you into pointless arguments. They dump their emotional mess at your feet. They call you late at night, not because they actually need you, but because they can't stand the idea of you being at peace while they're not. These are energy vampires, and every second you give them is a second stolen from who you're trying to become. Machiavelli would tell you that a wise leader must be willing to be called cruel in order to keep order in his world. Protecting your energy will require a kind of cruelty in the eyes of people who got used to feeding off you. They'll call you cold. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. Good. Let them. Because you're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be unbreakable for yourself. Start looking at your circle with the sharp eye of someone who means business, who adds to your clarity. Keep them. Who consistently leaves you drained, confused, or doubting yourself. Remove them. Not with anger, not with drama, with distance, with silence, with the calm, strategic removal of access. Your energy is not a public park. It is a throne room, and from this day forward, nobody enters without earning the right to stand in your presence. Trick number 10. Become the person they can't predict, can't control, can't break. You've made it here. That's your inheritance now. See people clearly. See yourself clearly. And stop trading your power just to be liked. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be remembered. Drop a comment below saying, "I am the storm they didn't see coming." Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this is only the beginning. Stay sharp, stay silent, stay dangerous.